Good morning, everybody. Again, welcome to CSP's informational webinar series. This is something that we have started this year as a way to hopefully provide some insight and answer some questions, common questions that we're hearing amongst our customer base in the market. So today's session is on Microsoft Office 365 and everything you need to know about Office 365. So first and foremost, thank you so much for your attendance. We greatly appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day today. My promises to you, I do want to respect your time. I tried to make this as informative as I can, yet also stick within our time constraints. So I really do have a presentation to fit within this 30-minute allotment, hopefully even a few minutes shorter. Also, just so you know, as Stuart mentioned, you are muted upon entry. We do that just to make sure we do have a clean recording. But we do want to make this as collaborative as possible. So there is a question pane on the right. Feel free to ask questions as we're going along, or at the end, we will have time for questions as well. So thank you again, and look forward to spending the next few minutes with you as we talk about Microsoft Office 365. So to briefly go over the agenda, I first want to give a quick introduction to both CSP and myself. We will then talk about Microsoft Office 365 at a high level. I'm going to spend a few minutes going over what's Microsoft's pitch, how are they positioning it, but then I'll also go into what we're seeing from our end and from what's the reality there, as well as some recommendations, and finally Q&A to wrap it up. So briefly just about CSP and looking at everyone who registered. Some of you are customers, some of you have known us and worked with us for a long time. Others might be new to CSP. So wanted to briefly introduce ourselves. We are an IT solutions and support provider located in Raleigh, North Carolina. We have been around for 21 years, so extremely proud of our tenure and stature in the community. Our three biggest areas of focus, one leading with managed services, so that is really providing full-serve proactive support, monitoring, alerting, and maintenance on your IT system. So there's a lot that we're doing in that realm. Following that up, we also do a lot with what we call our cloud services portfolio, seeing a huge growth in the cloud. I can't remember the exact numbers, but in the past year, something about 50% growth in the cloud business, and as well as our technology solutions as well. So implementing anything from wireless networking, security solutions, to phone systems, to server SANs, backups, and everything in between. So truly do position ourselves as a holistic IT provider for many, many customers in North Carolina for a very long time. So we are thankful and humbled by our 21 years. And for those that you know us, I hope we have supported you well. And those that we may not know, would love to have the opportunity to earn your business. So as for me, I am Stephen Riddick. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing here at CSP. And as one little icebreaker and one heads up, I have a wonderful 9-month-old at home. My wife has been on a business trip this week, so I've been on daddy daycare duty. So two huge themes that came out of this experience. One, for any moms that are on the call with us, I think I have an even greater appreciation after the past few days. So a happy belated Mother's Day, and thank you to all the moms out there. And simultaneously, if you hear me dozing off on the other end or not quite having the enthusiasm that I normally do, you know why. It has been a very fun week, but also an eye-opening week. So I've been here. I started my career with Cisco. I went to actually have a liberal arts background, and then I got an MBA. And then stumbled into technology, and I've absolutely loved it. I spent a long time with Cisco, moved to CSP about 4 years ago, and it has been a fantastic journey. So while we're really here today, though, Microsoft Office 365, and specifically wanted to just start, why the buzz? How did we get here? I'm sure you're here because you've been hearing a lot about Office 365. So why? And really, I equate it to a perfect storm. Obviously, Microsoft is the 100-pound gorilla or 1,000-pound gorilla, I guess, in the room. I mean, they are obviously the huge player when it comes to business-level software. And as you also know, the past few years has really been the onset of the cloud. And I know that is a nebulous term to a lot, and it means different things to different people. But there is a huge shift in the market and in the industry towards the cloud. So I think these two massive forces coming together, and candidly, it's Microsoft's one of their forays into the cloud. So that is going to be really big news for a lot of people and a lot of businesses, and it has been. So just to show, I mean, how they're doing in numbers, it really is some amazing numbers. And I mean, their Q2 earnings report just came out here in the past few weeks, and they have over 70% of Fortune 500 companies now are leveraging Office 365 in some way, shape, or form. They're up to over 70 million commercial customers leveraging Office 365, 22 million consumer subscribers on top of that, so almost 100 million copies of Office 365 out there. And they too are seeing just huge growth, 63% year over year revenue growth in their Office 365 business unit. So, I mean, all the metrics are showing that this is a very large and high growth market for Microsoft. And, you know, I think there's a lot of reasons behind that. Obviously, Microsoft is a great marketing organization, but there is a lot of meat behind what they have done with Office 365 as well. And I think there are a lot of really positive attributes with this portfolio. So that's what we'll go into. But hopefully that does describe why the buzz and why we're here. So to start, for those of you, I know a couple of you on this list, I think, set in on a Windows 10 webinar that we did last quarter. And I always like to start these with really what's the vendor's perspective and what's their, for lack of a better term, Kool-Aid. How are they pitching it? How are they selling it? I had do not worry, I was giving a PowerPoint from Microsoft that had over 50 slides. So did my best to cut those down into just a couple for you. Will not give you 50 slides about why Office 365 from Microsoft, but I do think it's important to see how they're positioning this product. So again, these are some slides directly from Microsoft, but really with them, they're looking at what does the modern business need? And I think you'll see a lot of these terms are coming, you know, probably not new to you and probably familiar with your business. So things such as zero downtime is a must. I mean, these are what they're hearing from their customers. And stop spending on soon-to-be obsolete technology. We need solutions that evolve with us. That's a theme that you'll hear a lot. The anywhere, anytime, from any device access, having a constant portfolio or constant user experience. Collaboration is a huge buzzword that you're hearing a lot. The cloud, start using cloud to our advantage, saving us money, stay connected no matter what, security. All these things are different, I think, feedback that Microsoft was hearing from their customer base and that they try to adapt to as they created Office 365. So then they said, all right, what do we really want this the baseline of a modern business to be from a software standpoint? And some of the key attributes that they put in place were things that adapt and change with us, getting the most out of the technology. Again, this is we just spoke about, but working from anywhere and collaborating, working together easily. Safeguarding your business from protection and control of your data to trying to be prepared for the unexpected. And then finally, obviously, the customer connections, understanding your business, increasing your sales, all go along with that directly. So the Office 365, you know, is Microsoft's attempt to address the concerns of the modern Office at a high level, and there are different plans that we'll get into, but with this subscription-based, and I think that is important to even take a step back and not assume that everybody realizes that, but historically, when you buy a new machine, you buy a license in some way, shape, or form, whether it's an open license, enterprise, home, and business, but you buy a copy of Microsoft Office that gives you that suite of solutions such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, et cetera, Outlook. So now instead of buying that single license, you are getting a perpetual, ongoing monthly subscription for those services. So it is an operational cost as opposed to a capital cost now. So with that, you do get 5 fully installed Office applications or for 5 devices. So whether it's PCs, whether it's Macs, whether it's tablets, whether it's smartphones, each user can put the Office suite on up to 5 devices. Again, it has support for smartphones, for tablets, for iPads, trying to create a similar experience no matter the type of device that you're having. They now also offer online versions of Office, OneNote, and being able to access it from a web page as opposed to having a hard copy on your PC. So if you use thin clients, for example, that might, or a Chromebook, for example, this is a great way to be able to have cheaper endpoints and then just access Office from the web, as well as then OneDrive for cloud business storage as well. So a couple things that really stand out. One, Office where and when you need it. Again, as we hit on multiple devices across any platform, wherever you need it, having access to Office. The best and latest version of Office, that's another one. For the Office suite, Microsoft is typically on about a 3-year refresh cycle. As you know, there was Office 2007, 2010, 2013. Now they've just released 2016. Typically, if you want the latest and greatest, you do have to purchase another software key for that. With Office 365, they will always keep you on the latest and greatest, and then the built-in sharing and cloud storage as well. So then we go into the different plans, and Microsoft has a lot of different plans in place, and what we hope to do is help navigate that with you, because it can be a little cumbersome, a little overbearing. Just so you know too, I didn't look at the final attendee list. They do have some very competitive nonprofit pricing as well, so that is not listed here, but we would be more than happy to discuss those plans with you. But at a high level, they really divide it up into their business and what they term enterprise user base. The majority of the people on here, I believe, would fit more in the business category, because that is up to 300 users, so we're going to focus the majority of time on that. For this first slide here, I did take out the price, just I don't want to be overburdened by the price in the discussion initially. Really just want to look at these plans so you can start to see how Microsoft is divvying it up. So on that far left column, you will see, obviously the far left is the different options. But then when you're looking at the matrix in the business platform, the farthest on the left is the business plan. And again, this is up to 300 user, any business up to that. And support is for critical issues for all of these. Here in the business plan, you do get a fully downloadable version of Office, as well as the different apps for the iPad, smartphones, things like that, as well as Office Online. You get the cloud storage and Active Directory integration. So this more or less is a replacement just for your Office suite as you would know it. Where you would have a downloaded version, but again, now you would be able to have it on up to 5 devices per user, always have the latest and greatest, plus the cloud storage. So just similar to your normal model of buying a copy of Microsoft Office in a more OpEx mentality, where you're paying for that on a month-by-month basis. The next one, the Business Essentials, the key to notice here is that you do not get a downloadable version of the Office suite. Instead, it is only Office Online. So we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a little bit, but that is, you can only access Office through a web browser. So you would go to the Office 365 portal and be able to launch, say, Word in a web browser. So it's a very similar experience, but it would not be the exact same where a lot of people are used to now, where they go to your start menu and launch, say, Microsoft Word, for example, and have the application residing locally on your machine. For this plan, though, too, you can see a lot more of it is then cloud-based. So you have your cloud storage, you have email in the cloud, you have online meetings in the cloud, SharePoint in the cloud. So the Business Essentials is a much more cloud-only platform. And finally, the Business Premium is a great combination of both when you look at the standard business and Business Essentials, where you do have local applications of Office, as well as the cloud versions of it as well. I know that is a lot of information, and it could be a little confusing the first time you look at it, but again, we will share this presentation, and we are more than happy to discuss in more detail with you about your specific needs. For today, I'm not going to spend much time in the enterprise space. If you have a specific question, we can dive into that. in a one-off environment, but I think everybody today would be in the business class of the plans. So with that said, what are we seeing from our standpoint? Again, that was sort of Microsoft's spin. So what is the CSP spin? And I think first, I even want to take a step back and as I say, let's start with the easy button. And it's sort of surprising, but one thing that Microsoft does not promote a lot in their marketing literature is Exchange Online. They have one plan that is just for Exchange Online. And in our opinion, that is a great way to both dip your toe into Microsoft Office 365 and also a great way for you to dip your toe into the cloud. What that does, what this plan will do is you currently have an Exchange, or you probably have an Exchange server. The market share is just mass things over 90%. So have an Exchange server that houses your emails. Clients obviously access those through platforms such as Outlook, but your email server is where those emails are actually housed. So what the Exchange Online plan does is move your Exchange server and puts it into Microsoft's cloud. And it is a fully redundant, multiple data center, very, very high power cloud-based environment. So to us, the benefits of that is, one, from a disaster recovery and business continuity standpoint. Typically in your environment, if you do have a server on-prem, it is a very, very good server. It's a robust server. But at the same time, you're going to be limited to the physical nature of that building. So if, say, ice storm comes through the triangle, the Raleigh area of North Carolina, knocks out power in your building, even if you still have power at home, your PDA, your iPhone will no longer be able to get those emails because your Exchange server is down without power. So by pulling that up and putting that in the cloud, relocating it amongst redundant data centers across the country, Microsoft is able to guarantee that uptime. So yes, if you lose power in your office, you obviously won't be able to get to your email from your PC. You won't have power. But at the same time, if your phone's still working, if you still have a cell phone connectivity, you will still have access to that email. If you need to, say you have a catastrophic emergency in your office and fire or hurricane or something, you need to move offices, you can simply reconnect to that Office 365 cloud, be able to maintain your email. So it really is a great disaster recovery business continuity play. You also get your automatic upgrades with that. So typically, if let's say you're on Exchange 2007, you might have a refresh cycle, realistically for Exchange, probably every 5 years, but every 5 years or so, a pretty large capital expense where you're having to go repurchase the licensing, repurchase the hardware, and then also the labor to perform that upgrade and migrate to the latest Exchange. Whereas in this model, Microsoft is always doing those updates. You'll always be on the latest and greatest, always be on solid hardware, not be having to worry about those updates. It's a high-performing, secure environment. Realistically, it's an enterprise-grade. It's an enterprise-grade infrastructure. Most of you, nothing against any of you, but I doubt you're building a fully redundant, protected data center with multiple exchanges failing over between each other. That's an expensive solution, and by paying for the subscription, you're able to get that architecture in place. They have large mailbox stores. Currently 50 gigs, so very, very large. You don't have to worry about storage, and it's very scalable too. So if you're looking to grow, just pay as you go to be able to add those online Exchange options. So to us, that's an easy one. I mean, I think we recommend to a large majority of our customers now when they have an Exchange migration coming up to go ahead and make that move. But then the other decision, though, what about some of these other plans? What about your standard Office suite of products, your Word, your Excel, your PowerPoint, your Outlook? So I do think the positives, everything that Microsoft says is correct. I mean, it's any device, any platform, any time. There's always have the latest and greatest version. You don't need to worry about upgrades. You have local and online versions, cloud storage, enhanced collaboration. All that is very true. We've been using Office 365 internally really since it was released. I think we saw that this is where Microsoft was heading. So we've been using it, and it's been a fantastic solution for us. And so there's really nothing too negative. There are a couple small caveats I'll get to in 1 second, but nothing too negative about the technology itself. I think the biggest thing is the cost worth the benefits? And that's honestly going to be a decision that you and your organization needs to make. So to come back to our original plans, now with the pricing in place, here across the top, you can see the price of these different plans. So anywhere from $8.25 for the business, $5 for business essentials, $12.50 for the premium. And that is a price per month. Again, this is an OPEX cost, no longer a one-time CapEx spent. So those are the price per month. So then break it down. I mean, just to sort of simplify things, the business that really is just looking at the local versions of Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, etc., comparing that to buying that license in the box. And for an open license, you typically pay roughly around $375 for that. As you can see, the Office 365 Business Essentials, or Business, excuse me, I'm sorry, I put the wrong logo up there, is $825 per month, so about $100 per year. So, just doing the math, depending on exactly where it falls, $350 to $400, you're in a 3.5 to 4 year break-even point for that cost. Obviously, there are plenty of other soft costs. There's other advantages. You get multiple devices and things like that, but it really is just for you to decide, okay, what's my propensity for this cost, and where do I want to see that break-even point? So in a similar note, to do Office and Exchange versus Business Premium. So again, Business Premium also takes the Exchange out there, includes it as well. So with that, you're looking at a total cost of about $460, where the Business Premium is $1250 a month. So here it's about a 3 year break-even point for that. But again, there also, don't forget about some of those additional costs, such as the hardware upgrades, just paying for the upgrade costs and things like that. So it's for you to sort of weigh those differences. So a few other considerations from CSP. One, I wanted to speak a little bit to the quote-unquote Office Online, and as you saw, that is in the Business Essentials package, where you don't have a locally installed copy of Office. Instead, you do, as I mentioned, access that from Microsoft's web page, and it pulls it up in a web browser. So a couple big things. One, there's some organizations that are using this and using it great, and their users love it and are used to it. It's very similar to a Google Docs kind of environment for those of you who use Google Docs, but it is a much more secure business version of Google Docs. And not to, I don't want to open a can of worms here, but typically find organizations that have a younger user base are very comfortable in this realm. And their users really don't mind that. Again, they're used to working in Google, and they're used to working in Google Docs, and that's fine. So say advertising agencies, startups, people that just really have a younger workforce, I would say that this solution is perfect for you, or could be really good for you. A couple things to think about, though. It does require internet connectivity to work. So for example, if you have people in your office who are working on planes a lot that maybe doesn't have GoGo, or in areas that don't have great internet, it does require internet connectivity. And it also is a different inter-user face. Again, it's not going to be that same mentality of going to your start menuing and launching Office. It is accessing through a web page. Looks and feels very similar. They did a good job, but it's not identical. One more consideration, Exchange Online, as I talked a lot about, I think that's just a great plan. They always run the latest version of Exchange. So if you go to Exchange Online without any of the other platforms, do not forget that there can be some compatibility issues. So for example, if you are still running Outlook 2007 on some old machines, we would not recommend going to the online version of Exchange, because that'll be Exchange 2016, and those are not compatible. So that's something to think about. As I talked briefly about a second ago, always consider all costs when looking at ROIs. Again, what I did here was just a very high level of honestly just comparing licensing costs. The licensing cost of buying a license up front versus the operational cost of paying monthly. I think that creates a great baseline, but that doesn't tell the entire picture. So don't forget about some of the hardware needs that you may need, some of the soft costs. What value do you put on things like business continuity? So again, what I did just now is a very apples to apples, but not the entire story. Finally, a little plug, shameless plug. Management can be a little tricky in managing these accounts. Always recommend leveraging a partner such as CSP. Even if it's not us, leverage somebody. With this, the cost is identical whether you buy directly on Microsoft's website or you buy through someone like us. They're then giving us a little bit of a rebate on the back end, or any partner. So they're very upfront and transparent with that model. So honestly, it doesn't. You may as well go through a partner on that, just to make sure they can help you navigate and walk through it. All right, so hopefully you're saying, well, good info, but I'm still confused. Should I upgrade or not? So, I think from our standpoint, the exchange online, and I'm sorry, I put exchange only. We'll blame it again on the daddy daycare, but the exchange online plan, really, in our opinion, that's an easy one. I think the advantages really are strong for that, and it's only $4 per user per month. So, looking at the ROI, it is a solid investment there. For some of the more complete options, whether it's business premium, business essentials, ultimately I try to present a lot of information a day, and hopefully then you can weigh the cost versus the benefits. Realistically, it's a different pricing model. I don't want to say it's more expensive, but instead of, again, having that capital refresh cycle once every 3 or 5 years when you refresh your PCs, and most of the time people just refresh their version of Office, then it turns into an ongoing operational expense. So it's different. And honestly, I don't know your business well enough to know what works for you or what doesn't. I think there are a lot of it technological advantage, a lot of business, corporate, strategic advantages as well. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you just need to weigh those costs. So I wanted to leave a few more minutes for questions. I apologize. It took a little bit longer than when I walked through this last night. I guess I was a little bit more long-winded than I expected, but we do have 2 minutes left. So any questions would be happy to take in these final 2 minutes.
Stephen, we do have some questions. We have Connie wants to know if they go with Exchange Online, are they able to add unlimited aliases and distribution lists with any additional costs?
Yep, great question. So, yes, aliases are not part of that $4 per month. And I will have to double check if it's unlimited or not. I think it is, but I'm pretty sure
I believe it is too. Yeah, I do believe so.
Yep, great. Perfect. Thank you.
And also, Connie wants to know as well, would we have the ability to do any of the setup or modifications to Exchange accounts, or would they have to have CSP do that?
Yep, great question. So, you can do it either way. There is a management portal that all customers have access, or all Office 365 customers will have access to, and they can manage it themselves, and some prefer to do that. Others prefer to leverage a partner to do it for them. So it's either model is fully acceptable.
Fantastic. So still the questions are pouring in, Stephen, so I think we'll go a little bit over time here, but I think there's some good questions here. You mentioned large mailboxes. How large can they get? Any additional costs as the size grows?
Yep, another good one. Currently, they are 50 gig mailboxes is what they're offering, and for those of you who aren't technical, that is a very large mailbox. Classically, if you had an on-premise Exchange, I mean, heck, only a couple years ago, people were maxing out mailboxes at single digits. So, and the other thing I will say is that Microsoft has been increasing this, and I think they will continue to do that. When Microsoft Office 365 was first released, I believe it was 25 gigs. I can't remember exactly, but they have been increasing that, and as the market demands, I think they'll continue to.
Here's another question, Stephen, that I never even thought of, and it's a really good question. Do resources like conference rooms require licenses for Exchange Online?
Resources do not, no sir.
And I think, Stephen, that rounds out our questions. Any closing comments that you have for us today?
I would just like to say thank you so much for joining. We greatly appreciate it. I hope you found this session to be informative and beneficial. If you have any questions about the content, please feel free to reach out to us here at CSP. If you have an account manager, reach out to that person. If you're new to CSP or you don't know who that is, feel free to reach out to me. And I would also say, besides any feedback directly on Office 365 or questions, feel free to provide feedback on this format and this topic. Again, we're trying to make these informational, not salesy. If there are any topics that you would like to see moving forward, please provide that feedback. If there are any tweaks to how we presented the information or what you would like to see or how we could do things better, we are this is a new initiative that we started in 2016. So this is only our second one. So we are all ears when it comes to hearing how we can improve and how we can provide more value for you. So with that, we'd like to thank everybody very much. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your Thursday. Almost the weekend. Have a fantastic weekend and look forward to seeing you next time.
And Steve, one more thing before you leave. What's the phone number and website that people can visit?
Great question. There's the marketing person for us. So feel free to call us at 919-424-2000. Our website is www.cspinc.com. So that's Charlie, Sam, Paul, Igloo, Nancy, Charlie.com.
Great, thank you, Stephen. And everyone on the call, we will have a recording made available shortly. Please watch your email, and we will send this out as soon as it's available. Thanks again, Stephen, and thanks again, everyone, for tuning in today.